Hi, my name is Johanna Colon. I'm an MLL ELL video content specialist for middle school social studies. This is a teacher-facing video clip for grade 8, unit 3, lesson 3. As a scaffolding practice, we'll be focusing on building conceptual knowledge with the glossary as a scaffold tool to support MLLs. So the title of this lesson is Native American Assimilation, and assimilation is definitely going to be the concept of focus. And the way that we're going to teach it is with a glossary tool where the concept is made more clear for students with other concepts. So the focus question is, how did US expansion affect different cultures? In this case, Native Americans. So the way that we want to do this is through a glossary with purposeful images, purposeful definitions, explanation, elaboration, and discussion. And the visuals, of course, should be representative of the terms or concepts that you want to focus on. For example, here we have assimilation. And here we have these different pictures, and you would like to ask the students, well, based on these pictures, what do you think assimilation means? And it can be collaborative on this Jamboard, where the kids can use the sticky notes to write in their home language. They can write in English. They could also include visuals or anything that they can connect to, including things from the text. And here you can say, okay, well, what is assimilation? What do you think it means? Okay, so we see changes in clothing, changes in hair, okay? And then you want to reveal the definition to the students, which is being made to look, act, and think like the dominant culture. In this case, certain white American children. And they can really pick that up and they'll be able to really connect to the word assimilation. And then as you go on with this interactive glossary, okay, you want to make sure that, again, you use pictures that are purposeful, okay? And I'll explain these. So here we have a typical reservation, right, with a tent. And here you have a home, right? And to kind of drive home this word mainstream, you want to break it apart because ELLs don't know what mainstream means. So we can break it up and say, well, what does main mean? Okay, so it means the most important, maybe something that we have to focus on, right? Like a main idea, right? Like the big idea or big picture. Okay, so main and stream, well, when we streamline something, right? When you think of a river flowing, the stream, it's kind of, it's there, it's useful. So we can say that mainstream basically means the ideas, attitudes, or activities that are considered normal, right? So when something is mainstream, it's available to all, similar to a river and the stream, right? It's available to the people nearby. And if it's main, then it's number one, right? It's what we should be focusing on, or what would be considered normal. So in this case, well, what would be considered mainstream, or what do you consider mainstream, right? And you encourage the students to use their home language, connect to the text, right? They could connect to the text from the lesson. Okay, what is mainstream, what is not mainstream, right? In the first text, which is this one, okay, the reaction to the Dawes Act, this perspective talks about hair, right? So what's mainstream and what's not mainstream, right? The type of hair, we can talk about that. And again, you'll reveal the post-its with the definition. Do you guys consider this mainstream? Right? What do we value as a society, right? And it depends on the perspectives. And you want to make sure that you let the kids know that this reservation is mainstream for Native Americans. However, this is mainstream for the white American, right? And again, the reservation definition is land set aside for Native Americans to live on, because colonizers, of course, took their land. Then we have Native American or Indian versus man or citizen. And here you have this concept, these concepts really relate to that second reading, right? Where they talk about kill the Indian and save the man, which is the perspective of the white man, right? And you want to make the connection that, you know, who was not considered a citizen? Well, Native Americans, why not, right? Um, and so really driving home these concepts and what it means to be a Native American. Well, which person do you think is a Native American here? Okay, why? Okay, the garment, the feathers, right? The hair, right? These are indicators of a Native American, right? And then what does it mean to be a citizen, right? And really driving home those definitions. A citizen is a legally recognized person of a country, right? So it's a person that is, and typically a citizen is considered a human being. If we make a connection to the text, are Native Americans really considered citizens? And that would be a no, right? And for Native American, a great definition is a member of any of the first groups of people living in North America or South America. Of course, we're focusing on Native North America because we're in the United States. The last concepts that you really want to drive home with the students would be submit versus resist. So here we have perfect depictions of Native Americans either resisting, right, the colonizers, and here we have them submitting to the colonizers. And you want to kind of explain, well, what does that mean? Why are they resisting? Why are they submitting? So here it's a clear act of resistance, like get away, right? So what do you think resistance means based on this image here? We're not accepting you, right? We don't want you here. It's a no, it's disagreement. And for submission, they're accepting, right? They're saying they're agreeing to something. They're saying okay. You want to make sure that you let the students understand that. And of course, since it's interactive, you want to make sure that they inference before you reveal these definitions, right? What do you think submit means based on this picture? What are they doing? What's going on? Having, right? Students can again say it in their home language with a little sticky note. They could pick an image that relates to what they think it means, right? They could write it in English. So of course, allowing for different access points. How does this relate to assimilation, right? You got to relate all of these concepts to assimilation. How does it relate? Well, because if you assimilate, right, are you submitting or are you resisting? You're submitting, right? Because you are accepting, right, the dominant culture, right? Whether it is by, and you know, for the most part, it was by force, right? So just making sure that you're making those connections along the way.